You got any others you want to throw out here, buddy? Because Burton was my last one. I have a couple like kind of throwaway names, but give me your next one here.
So I'm going to go way down the list for a guy, and I understand people are going to kind of push back against this one, and I'm not telling you it's the highest likely of outcomes, but, and I know you're higher than I am on one of the other guys on this depth chart, so I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation, but the last name that I want to bring up here is Luke McCaffrey. Okay. And we talk about players, again, evolving as they get more time, either playing football or specifically wide receiver. The evolution of Luke McCaffrey's game, I think, is still ongoing. And the jump that I think we saw from his first year playing wide receiver after playing college to begin his collegiate career to last year at Rice, in terms of a player that tested way better than I think anybody gave him credit for, including myself. I didn't see him coming out and being that type of athlete. But going back to this, testing only carries you so far. Looking at his film and his ability, I think already he can separate versus zone coverage. I think he's already going to be a very good underneath wide receiver. Where I think the next step of his game, and looking at where this projection can kind of take flight, is I already think he's good versus zone. His numbers last year in his final year at Rice said that. He was 26th overall in PFF receiving grade amongst all guys with at least 15 zone coverage targets, 11th in PFF receiving grade versus zone coverage. And we talked about this is a league that is predominantly zone coverage. Even the lowest teams in the league run it at a 54% clip. The highest teams are running at 70% and above. So can he separate versus zone automatically entering the NFL? I think he can. Now, the other parts or pieces of his game, playing outside, beating man, beating press, those are the next evolution that he's going to have to take in his career. I think that what we see on film, he's got that ability in his bag, because you see more strength than a lot of people would give him credit for, specifically at the catch point. And when it's muddy and stuff like that, he is very much a my ball mentality, comes down with those contested situation catches and can get deep. And so I think he still has growth in his NFL career. But what are we talking about, though? Going back to the nuts and bolts of this conversation, Harmon, we want a sharp play caller. Okay, we can all make jokes about Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach and what he did or didn't do. And trust me, I've been there, man. Like I've gone and writing up the primer on a weekly basis. I'm like, come on, Cliff, just please move DeAndre around the formation. He's not just playing one side of the field. Like he can just move him around. Just please move him around. But the other parts about like Cliff's offense that I think we can gravitate to here is the high play volume. They are going to run at a breakneck pace. So even if we only get middle of the road passing rates, that play volume is going to play up just based off of their neutral pace and how fast they're getting in and out of the huddle. And then we talk about the ambiguity of this wide receiver room. After Terry McLaurin, I'm not immensely high on Jahan Dotson. And I think some of the quarterback play over the last few years, we can give some of that credit to Jahan Dotson. But the other part about is his target earning ability. Like he's a wide receiver that multiple metrics. He's been outside the top 47 wide receivers in back-to-back seasons in target share, target per route run rate, yards per route run, first downs per route run. So Jahan Dotson, if we want to marry all this, after Terry McLaurin, who's the clear two in this offense? I don't know if that exists right now, but it could be Luke McCaffrey. And if Terry McLaurin were to go down or miss time with injury, who can step up and be the number one in this offense? And I think a lot of people, the easy answer is Jahan Dotson. I think the other answer that people need to give more credit to as well is it could be Luke McCaffrey.
I'm a little mixed on McCaffrey, but one thing I definitely agree with you on is that I liked his my ball mentality and like his ability in tight coverage. I didn't like sample a ton on him, but that was something I liked about him. And then secondly, I liked his ability to beat zone coverage. Man, like I'll tell you what, he ran slant routes well and he ran flat routes well. If Cliff Kingsbury's going to bring that horizontal raid to Washington, which let's hope he doesn't, McCaffrey's actually a really good fit with that. Like I think he was drafted. I don't know where you thought he should go. I thought he was drafted a little higher than where I thought he would. Like I didn't think he's be a third round pick, but I get what they're looking for there in just like a layup slot target. He fits in that like that sort of bucket. And I think they needed that guy after losing Curtis Samuel. I will just say from the Jahan Dotson perspective, I know all the facts, about the targets per route run and the yards per the first downs per route run. I totally get that. His rookie season, got to remember he was coming off an injury, a hamstring injury there where he came back, aggravated it, lost it again. So that was part of it. I thought he finished the season strong there. Had a, I would say, good, not great reception perception profile as a rookie. His second season, man, I want to just throw that in the trash for everybody in that offense. I thought Eric Bieniemy designed him and Pete Carmichael. It was
bad.
One of those two, either of those two guys was the worst designed offense last year. And that's an offense where the Carolina Panthers were playing last year. Like that's the season we're talking about. So I kind of want to give him a pass for last year, although I don't think he has a super high ceiling. I think at best he'd just be a rock solid number 2. That's where I'm envisioning him. I never even, like, listeners of this podcast know that I even said last year, I like Jahan Dotson, but like, let's never put him in the same sentence as Terry McLaurin. Like there's a clear established one on this team. So I'm definitely higher on Dotson than you. I think he is the clear 2 on this team. But there is, again, opportunity beyond those guys where, although they brought back Jamison Crowder, De'Ami Brown is still kicking around here. It's still like a weirdly deep-ish depth chart, D-bro. But one thing I'll say, like, I think McCaffrey's going to have a better rookie year than like Ben Sinnott. People like the best. I don't know how you feel about Sinnott, but like I know some of the best ball sickos are like all over him this year. I don't know. Sinnott. Maybe you're one of those sickos.
Yeah, I'm one of the sickos. I'm one of the sicko D-gens. I love Sinnott.
Aren't you worried that he's going to be like a fullback for this team?
No,
like
no. I'm not worried about the fullback. And I want to put this. Let's pull this back to just reality. Do we think that the Commanders drafted a fullback in the second round of the NFL draft? I just want to throw that out there. Like,
wouldn't be the first time a Washington football franchise did some weird stuff. Okay, but although fair. I do like Adam Peters and the way they're going about things right now. And by the way, like even if they did, I'm just saying like this year, he's going to be, blocked by Zach Ertz for like at least the first 8 weeks. But I think Sinnott's a really good like dynasty bet. But I just think it's funny that, again, this is all OTA stuff. Who knows? But like one of the first things someone said about him was like, oh yeah, he could play all over. He could even be the fullback for this team or whatever. So I just thought that was funny.